FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is July 29th, 2020. The month's almost over. Man, what a month it's been. Who would have thunk? Civil disorder, riots still going strong. We've got precious metals prices going up, stock market going up, and the election in 100 days. And we still have a contingent that would like to lock down the country or keep it locked down, perhaps to gain political advantage. Well, our good friend Matt Nye is here from the Republican Liberty Caucus. And Matt, hey, we're in Florida. We still have somewhat of a lockdown going on. It looks like more people are ignoring it every day, except here in Palm Beach County. What's your take here?
Yeah, so I obviously am very concerned about the lockdowns, about the mask mandates. I don't think the numbers in terms of at least the mortality rate justify the actions being taken. Certainly didn't justify shutting down the entire economy. And I think the collateral damage from these decisions is going to far outweigh the potential lives lost from the actual virus. So, when you look at it's the classic seen versus unseen economic argument where, if you just kind of extrapolate out all of these medical procedures that aren't being performed, the increase in addiction, depression, suicide, child abuse, spousal abuse, I think are going to far outweigh what would have happened if they had just basically made recommendations. When all this came out, it should have been, hey, here's what we're seeing, here's what we recommend, but certainly not forcibly shutting down businesses. I think I saw it was down in your neck of the woods. Didn't they just arrest? Was it a gym owner?
That was in New Jersey, I believe.
No, South Florida, right here. No, just like yesterday. I think it was in Broward. Representative Anthony Sapadini's representing him. I want to say he was a gym owner. Anyway, he basically defied whatever rule or order, and they actually arrested him criminally now. So originally it was a civil thing, and now it's criminal. And so you're seeing, that type of escalation around the state. Certainly, I think Sabatini's up to 12 lawsuits now. I think he's filed against cities and counties. I'm actually, I've got a GoFundMe going for one right here in my backyard in Satellite Beach to sue them for a mandatory mask mandate. So yeah, we're definitely seeing, this is the ultimate civil liberties issue, if you will, or at least, choice in health. If the government can force you, this is the problem I see with the mandatory mask thing is, so if the government can force you to wear a mask, when doing so may actually compromise your health in certain individuals.
There's no science necessarily here.
Right. There's no random clinical trials that show that they actually work. If they can force you to do that, what are we going to do when we get the magic COVID vaccine that they've rushed through Project Warp Speed? To me, that's not a far stretch for them to say, okay, well, you may be asymptomatic. You've got to take the vaccine. There's no option. I mean, to me, it's a very slippery slope, and the mask thing just seems like the logical precursor to them trying to force a vaccine on you. So, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just don't think that the government has any place, forcing you into that. Sure. Especially when, again, we were talking before we got on about, you've got a proven treatment in hydroxychloroquine. So why would you risk the unknowns that come with, rushing through a vaccine? And not to mention the fact, if you read everything I've read, they say you can't really get a vaccine because the thing is constantly mutating. And
you can't do it. We don't have one for the flu. We have a vaccine that they have to change every year because it's a new mutation of the virus. And there's never been There's never been a vaccine for a common cold. That's a coronavirus they neglect to mention. So we're heading down the slippery slope of totalitarianism, and there are certain governors that really relish it. I'm talking about hashtag Killer Cuomo. I'm talking about hashtag Murphy the Murderer. I'm talking about hashtag Ava Braun Whitmer and hashtag Wacky Wolf from Pennsylvania. They are like loving totalitarianism. It reminds me of Dr. Strangelove, how I learned to stop fearing totalitarianism and love the bomb here, right?
Yeah, no, that's it is funny you say that. My friend Scott Ellis, the clerk here, used that exact analogy. He thinks Fauci is Dr. Strangelove. So no, it's really very scary. And I guess if there's an upside, if you ever needed to see a case made for the Second Amendment and the right of the citizens to defend themselves, I mean, all you got to do is look at these big cities where the mayors have literally had the police stand down. The rioters have free reign, looters have free reign. And man, to me, the gun debate is over after you show that footage. I don't see how anybody can argue that the government is going to somehow protect you.
Yeah, look at the McCloskeys, though. Like they protected themselves. They brandished their firearms to stop the crowd from destroying their home, killing them perhaps. And what do they get? They get an indictment. But it looks like this could be the ultimate Second Amendment fight. If you're not familiar with the McCloskeys, a group of several hundred Black Lives Matter protesters in St. Louis had broken into their housing
gated
development. Yeah, it was a gated community. It broken an antique gate to get in there, and they're there minding their own business, and they see what's happening. They go in and get their guns, and the people are threatening to kill them, to break in their house and burn it down.
Kill their dog.
Kill their dog. Okay. One thing you threaten
right
me,
there,
but don't
exactly
threaten my dog. Do not threaten my dog, because that's grounds to blow your brains out, if nothing else is. And then the authoritarian, dictatorial, Soros-backed district attorney, I think her name was Gardner, if I'm not mistaken, but I can stand corrected on that. She files charges against them basically for brandishing, when Missouri has the Castle Doctrine identical in content to Florida, which says if some idiot walks on your stoop, all right, you can shoot him. Now, it might not be justified, but the presumption is that you acted lawfully, and then the government's got to prove that you didn't, that you weren't in fear. You got to be in fear. If there was ever a case of people being in fear of their lives, it was these people. And it made you wish that you had like 100-round magazine for the AR-15 instead of 30. They have those boxes, or one of those mini guns, so you could just mow them all down. I think they would have been better off if they just started shooting, honestly, Matt.
I hate to say that, but I mean, I can only imagine the fallout from that in terms of legal. If they got arrested for brandishing weapons, good grief.
But don't you think that people who are throwing firebombs, commercial grade fireworks at police, don't you think they should be shot?
There's no question that police
should be shot.
Defend themselves. Yeah.
They should be shot, because that's deadly force.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You're right. So
deadly force. I'll grant you. I mean, I'm being a little hyperbolic about the McCloskeys. I guess they handled it the right way, and it's a good thing, because her gun wasn't operable, and the DA took the gun, had it reassembled and made operable.
Saw that.
So
Wasn't
then
that
she could be, and that's suborning a lie before. That's like such prosecutorial misconduct, Matt.
FSN Radio. It's all about what What's next?
Financial Survival Network is brought to you today by Orin Resources, a junior exploration company with the appetite of a major. It's hot on the trail of the next globally significant discovery, creating enormous potential upside for you, the shareholder. Orin is one of the most aggressive exploration companies pursuing high-grade, scalable gold and copper deposits, and has a premier 7-project portfolio, including its 2 flagships, Committee Bay in the Arctic and Sombrero in Peru. Orin's unparalleled technical team and highly experienced management has a history of success in advancing and monetizing exploration assets. No wonder Orin's been called one of the best in the junior exploration sector. Orin trades on the TSX and the NYSE under AUG. To learn more, go to orinresources.com. That's AURYN resources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
That's honestly, that's where it's so scary, as you said, she's not the only one of these Soros DAs. And I mean, that's really, really scary stuff when you've got in it, the power of the government blatantly, cheating like that, dude, it's just, it's really scary. So that, I think we're definitely living in interesting times. And,
General Flynn, that DA has nothing on Mueller, because even General Flynn, they concocted evidence, but they didn't take physical evidence and create it out of thin air. As a recovering attorney, there's something repugnant about that really makes me think there's a civil war taking place. You can't allow that. That is a perversion, subversion of her power, of the rule of law, and she needs to be dealt with. And that's the thing. These Republicans are spineless. The governor could have removed her or appointed a special prosecutor. He didn't do it. And that's the thing. These Republican governors, even our governor here, I'm not happy with in Florida, because they just succumb to pressure. Do something. You can't stop a virus. No one knows how to do it, but somehow wearing masks and making you look like an idiot walking down the street is just going to. But honestly, Matt, I'd rather wear the mask than have the state shut down again if that's our choice. And I think that was our choice. So maybe it's better. I don't know, but.
I guess what disturbs me about the I think what was this? It may have been California, where they're making people wear masks outdoors now.
Oh,
so even
ridiculous.
If you're outside, like that, to me is just at this point, when it's a social experiment, right? Like you say, there's no reason for that, to wear a mask outside if you're out hiking or something and there's nobody around. It's just absurd. And so to me, it's an Overton window thing, right? They're just seeing how far
they can boil the frog.
Yeah. So that the middle, then the middle, like you say, is the new norm, right? So now they've got us where everybody's wearing a mask when you go to the store and nobody thinks twice about it. And it's, as far as I can tell, it's working. The last numbers I saw here, or not here, I mean here in Florida, I think it was 79% of Floridians approve of having to wear a mask. It was off the charts high, which was disturbing. But again, you can't trust the polls either. So
no, they're all fraudulent. Let's face it. But I just resent wearing it. I wear this thing. It's a neck gaiter, like you'd go have for skiing, and it's about the thinnest thing. You can practically see through it. And when I'm going to multiple stops, I wear it put it around my neck. I pull it up over my mouth and nose when I walk in the store.
Yep. When
I'm halfway out the door, I pull it back down and screw them all. Some guy yelled at me the other day, and I just ignored him. I'm not going to get into physical altercations about this. Right. Can't do that. But there is so much of this going on. But you know what? Keep the faith. We're being tested, and we can hope for better days. Don't let it get you down, because that's what they want. They want to break you down. Our people we associate with are inherent optimists. We believe that the best is yet to come, and that's what they want to take away from you. can't let them do that, Matt.
Well,
you know?
and a big part of that, as you said, like our kind of people are people that want to be self-sufficient, right? We're producers. We want to build things. We want to create things. And I think that's what's so insidious about, the concept of this lockdown is it really is devastating, not just purely in the financial terms, but, like you say, the psychological aspect of forcing people who have, in some cases, spent their entire lives building up their business.
So true.
It's just heartbreaking. I saw one lady that had a gym, I think it was a CrossFit gym, and she posted, she was basically in tears. She's like, we hung on, and this is going back, a couple of months ago. She got wiped out in the first wave, and she said, we've hung on as long as we could, but we can't. The overhead doesn't stop. We got to pay the bills. We can't. They won't let us open up. And that was her dream. I mean, she probably invested everything she had to have that place, right, and wiped out. And I think the last number I saw was 100 and for some reason 140 or 150,000 small businesses is stuck in my head that are gone. And then I saw a stat the other day. I think they said 60% of businesses that had closed, quote unquote, temporarily now are not expected to reopen. So when you think about it from sinister conspiracy theory angle, if you want to wipe out the American middle class, man, this is a hell of a way to do it. So
yeah, well, I just want to relate a story that I was watching on YouTube. Okay, because one good thing has come out of this, and that is that people are seeing the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, for what it is, deliberately unleashing this upon the world. The world has turned on China. China is now a pariah nation. This woman was a member of the Falun Gong. Just picture it like it's not Buddhism, but it's spiritualism, belief in God. Chinese Communist Party, completely atheistic, as she said, not so much God, but divine spirit. Mm-hmm. So you could interpret that as such. And she had a very successful life, married, doing great. And her mother started taking it up, and she was really sick, and it saw miraculous healing properties. Woman takes it up, and then 21 years ago, China comes out against it, and they start tormenting, torturing, arresting, putting them into gulags and into re-education camps. And this woman describes the torture that she underwent, and she's being assaulted with this like salt thing, high density salt torture. They're like trying to shoot it down her mouth, and she knows she's going to die. And then she finally just prays to the divine, being, to help her. And at that moment, one of these big guys keels over. The guard starts screaming and makes them stop torturing her. Eventually, she'd been arrested and released a number of times. She finally fled China, and she was describing this. So even though we've got it bad here, we're not like them yet. The idea of they just kill people for forced organ donation. Yeah. The most brutal, barbarous acts that you can ever imagine in your life is taking place there now. And up until our president, nobody was willing to touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's right. They were all kowtowing. And so whatever you think about Trump, whatever you say about Trump, you just look at what's really happening there with the Uyghurs. They're being forcibly sterilized. They're in gulags, all these things. So be grateful that whatever we still got, and we're willing to fight for, because these people are fighting against unsurmountable odds, and they're not giving up, and you can't either. So
that's a great, absolutely great point in terms of, they have it so much worse than we do. And there's, no excuse, like you say, over here, we can still take it back. So,
great point. Well, anyway, Matt, give us your website, how we connect with you, how we get involved.
Sure. So hit rlc.org is the Republican Liberty Caucus website. And then I'm going to make a personal shameless plug here. I'm running for state rep here in my backyard. And my website is mattnye.com, running against an entrenched career politician. If you look up rhino in the dictionary, this is the guy. So,
yeah, his pictures there in 4-color.
Voted for gun control, everything.
Sensible gun control, Matt. Sensible gun control.
So yeah, well, but anyway, it's just the irony is right. He puts himself out there as the pro-Trump guy, but he is the swamp. So
yeah, well, the swamp is alive and well. We didn't even get a chance to talk about some of the other issues. Next time, I promise. Hopefully, the indictments will have come down. Make me this promise: when they come down, come back on the show and let's talk about them, okay?
Absolutely. Sounds great. Thanks.
All right. Hey, questions, comments from Matt or myself, KL@KerryLutz.com. Don't forget the website, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for a free newsletter. Matt, a total pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good talking to you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.